welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I'll be teaching you all the systems and strategies you need in creating your visibility so you can turn your passion for coaching into a profitable business. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach, content and email marketing strategist, international speaker, and author, as well as the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. I'm on a mission to be the champion that helps you to get to the top of your mountain, one courageous step at a time. Welcome to the show. When I started my coaching business, I've tried so many different things. It's incredible and it's been quite a journey. And I've learned so much about myself, but also about the opportunity that's out there and how sometimes you think you're entering with authenticity and you're being very genuine. But sometimes, depending on the organization that you go to, when you go into network, you may get some very, very unexpected results coming out of it. Today, we are going to talk about the importance of finding the right professional resources and support network as a woman coach. Now, I'm going to be sharing my personal story about my experience, including local chamber of commerce and also attending these networking events. I'm still very big about networking. I love networking. I'm a people person and I love to connect with people. But when you take into consideration the mission and the goal that you have for your own coaching business, it's really important to understand that there's different dynamics. And depending on which network that you put yourself into, you may experience something very different. I used to be a member of this local chamber of commerce that's nearby my home right before the pandemic hits. And I've attended so many networking events. I live in a place where there's a lot of different chamber of commerce within the surrounding city. So I go from one to another because that's what they say, right? You want to have that maximum exposure and you want to be able to connect with other business owners. And hopefully through those connections, people will connect you with other people. That's how the whole network group begin and expand. It's something that I've tried and I spent so much time attending their breakfast, their lunch, and keep meeting other business owners. And what I found is that over time, they were not really meeting my needs and also providing much values for my coaching business. Now, back then, I positioned myself as a life and mindset coach. And part of it is because I wasn't niched down enough. And this is something that you also need to take into consideration if you're someone who's new, who's still trying to figure out, okay, who do I serve and how do I want to serve them and what problem I'm solving, then you are placing yourself in a big, giant bucket and you're kind of just paddling alone and trying to find something that stick. If that is the case, you might not necessarily want to become a member right away because you're still exploring, you're still trying new things. So try a few things before you actually land on a specific one and knowing that this is where your audience would be hanging out. This is where I can really focus on targeting the people and serving them. This is how I can get more connection. This is where I can really shine. And so I made a really difficult decision to stop going to Chamber of Commerce altogether. And I also stopped going to a lot of these events, networking groups, simply because it was not aligned with my value. It was not aligned with what I was looking for. I was looking for support. I was looking for a connection, but the connection was something that had an underlying agenda to them. When I say that, it's because if you have ever attended these business network group, everyone has a business, and which is totally understandable if you want to do business sometimes you do have to invest in order to have business, right? But it almost feels like every time you walked in, people already have an agenda. And these are more advanced. These people have been in business for a long time. And so if you're a newbie coach, then it really becomes a challenging situation where people almost like want you to buy stuff from them in order to help you to spread the word or connect you with someone else. I remember one night I was invited. It was an insurance company. Okay. We will leave the name out, and they sell like a lot of different packages. And it was happening at night. It was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. There's a group of us, and we all got invited to this quote unquote event. So we go in, and there's like tons of people coming. Their staff all come together and greeting us, and each one of them are assigned to a visitor. So you, as a visitor, you're being greeted by one of their staff who will take care of you. So first they sit you inside a room, and you're supposed to watch a video of how the company, about the company itself and the benefit of working for the company and what the company will provide you. It almost feels like you're going into one of those multi-level marketing situation where they're trying to brainwash you and hopefully you would become one of their member, and that you would go out and find new members. So it feels like very icky, right? It feels very multi-level. And it was just not something that I appreciated. And I remember this woman actually reached out to me a couple of times and wanted to like connect with me again. And it was just not giving me a really positive experience by going to these type of networking event. It wasn't just one single incident. It felt like a lot of people, a lot of business owner who in these type of networking groups have this underlying assumption that this is the only way of marketing your business, which is entirely out of date. It no longer works, and people are still trying to do the business the same way. If you want to just stay local and you are happy with the local environment, if you're happy with what you have, then great, congratulations, you found your place. But for me, I had a big dream. I have big ambition. So I don't just want to have a business for the local that serves the local community. I want to be able to expand out from the community. I want to be able to not only to serve the people within the community, I want to be able to serve and make bigger impact. I remember I was just so exhausted after attending multiple network groups and going to the Chamber of Commerce and all these different places that people inviting me to. And my time was just not enough. I needed more time because a lot of these network events, they happen in the morning. And who gets up 7 o'clock in the morning to go breakfast with some stranger anyway, right? And you are probably given like 3 minutes or 10 minutes of elevator pitch, and you have to speak within that 10 minutes, and you go around and you just greet everybody, and everybody kind of just know everybody because they all hang out together. So there's really not a whole lot of opportunity that I've seen in attending these type of network group. Now, that being said, I have 3 tips that I learned from these experience that I would love to share with you as a woman coach who's trying to scale and grow your coaching business. And hopefully by listening to this podcast, listening to this episode, you're going to maybe draw some lessons that I have experienced in the past, and perhaps you want to make it better, right? Perhaps you would look out for these almost like rabbit hole or black hole or whatever that you want to call it. Like people are really getting you, tricking you into getting their stuff in order for them to help you to spread the word. I mean, it's mutual benefit. I totally get it. But if you're getting nothing out of this, then I really want you to think about, is it worth your time and effort in spending in these type of events or a networking group? And are there any other opportunity that you might come up with, and be creative of how you go out there and spread your message? I would tell you, before we go into the tips, I would tell you that going through these Chamber of Commerce and network group, I've learned that I want bigger audience. And the small community, it's great. I still connect with my local community, but I want to be able to make bigger impact, which is the reason why before the pandemic, I decided to start my business 100% remotely. I don't just want to serve my small community, but I also want to make it bigger. I want bigger audience, the more the merrier. And so I focus primarily on growing an online coaching business 100% remotely. All right. So here are the three tips that I have learned from this experience. And hopefully, you will be able to learn from this and find the resources and the professional network group that suits you. Number one is don't be afraid to try something new. When it comes to finding a professional resource or support, it's important that you align yourself and be open to try new things. And you even want to like maybe experience something new. If you've never done a maybe meetup group, like virtual meetup group, or just start your own workshops. And it's about gathering people together. And so as long as you can create something that bring and draw people together, that's your goal. That's the idea of having network, right? So if you can find it somewhere else, don't be afraid to explore different options and see what works for you. One thing I try is actually I started a vision board night. So during the pandemic, I started to offer vision board in the beginning of the year, and also towards the middle of the year, I would offer another vision board event so that I can bring people together. I also started a book club. So the book club has been growing over the last 3, 4 years. I have grown to over 1,000 members, and we gather every month together to read books, and that you start gathering people. Now, granted that my book club was not something that I intentionally wanted to focus on. It wasn't something that intentionally wanted to grow. All my idea, my impulse was I like reading books, so why not gather together and we're just going to read books. Now, you can be more intentional if you want to target a specific audience, then you focus on a particular type of book and you bring people together to read this genre of books that you pick, and it would be more intentional towards your niche. So don't be afraid to try something new. And the second tip is you want to look for organization that aligns your values and your goals. And as a coach, it's really important to find an organization that aligns with your values and your goals. This way, it will help you to feel more connected. It would actually motivate you, wanted to attend, wanted to go. One of the organizations I started to really participate and I really enjoy being in is Toastmasters. So I really love Toastmasters, and currently the president of one of the Toastmaster club, and we meet virtually. And I love Toastmasters because it's a nonprofit, number one. And number two is you get to meet a lot of different speakers and you connect with all people from all walks of life. There are people who are really successful coaches, and there's people who are retired. You get to meet a wide range of people and you'll be able to build connection that way. One of my favorite organizations to go to, and I still continue to be a member, is Toastmasters. And it's a great way to connect with the people that you enjoy, that you love, and who share the same missions and goals. You just need to look for one that really align to your values and goals. And I started to join Toastmasters because when I first started out, I knew that I need to be in front of a bigger audience. So how do you be in front of a bigger audience? You speak. Podcast is a great way to reach a lot of audience, right? So people subscribe to your podcast and people are listening to it. It gets spread and it's also searchable. So I started to do podcasts. And when I started to do podcasts, I didn't want to keep having these and filler words. So I started to look for organization that would help me in public speaking. And that's how I got into Toastmasters, which also builds my public speaking skills. And now I am also speaking. So part of my business, it's a coaching and seminar company. And so there's that seminar part where I'm doing a lot of public speaking. This is how I keep evolving and also to learn how to utilize these organizations to fulfill my professional needs. So that's tip number 2. Number one is don't be afraid to try something new. And number two is to look for organization that aligns your values and goals and that you feel comfortable, you feel connected to. And the third tip for you is to consider the return of investment. While it's important to invest in your coaching business and professional development, but it is also important to consider what is your return of investment, right? You don't want to just be in an organization where you keep give. You want to be in a position where you're also getting the return. So if you are finding yourself in a networking group and you keep offering people like maybe free stuff, or you keep buying their product or services, and you're not really getting what you want or what you deserve and what you have put in your time and effort, then you really need to think about whether or not this is actually worth your time and money. When I was in the Chamber of Commerce, when I was in the local professional business group, I did not see the return that I was looking for. I kept hearing that people wanting to get my membership or, hey, come to my event at night and it's going to be $45 every Thursday. And I'm thinking, I really haven't got to know you and I don't know much about your program. Why should I trust you? And this goes back to the way that I do marketing. I do storytelling, I do marketing. And I truly believe that in order to get your clients to say yes, you have to actually do the hard work in getting to know them, let them trust you. You got to provide lots of values to nurture them, making sure that what you do is really aligned with what you believe in and you're walking the talk. I wasn't getting that in the in-person or a lot of these business networking event group that I was in. And so it's not worth my time and money. Hopefully these three tips and also what I have learned from my experience in attending these networking groups, including Chamber of Commerce, I hope they're helping you to find the right fit for your coaching business, especially if you're starting new or you're someone who's trying to grow and scale, expanding your network. Then you definitely want to keep those things in mind. And hopefully the tips, number one is try something new. Number two is looking for organization that align your mission and your value. And number three is you want to look at your return of investment, not just the money, but the time that you spend. And remember, it's okay to try something new and see what works for you. There's nothing wrong by going to attending one of the event or a couple of them to see if this is the right fit for you. And you definitely want to talk to their members and connect with people, but keep that in the back of your mind that you have a lot of different options, including the virtual world, including building a network by leveraging your social media. And social media, to me, it's like a big, giant way of reaching to people, network with people. So there's so many opportunity in the online space. I truly believe that if you're someone who's trying to grow and scale your business, you definitely want to consider the online space. Hopefully this helps, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, beautiful! Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and found value from this episode, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and leave me a rating and review. One thing I was struggling in my early years in business was finding the right people to connect with. It feels like I was on this entrepreneur journey on my own. And sometimes we all just need friends who can share our dreams and hopes. Someone who can relate to what we're going through as we grow our business together. If you are a woman coach who is ready to grow your coaching business and looking for strategies to get seen, get heard, and get hired, I want to invite you to come and find me in our community on Facebook at Get Clients with Storytelling. This is a community of women coaches who want to grow a coaching business by creating engaging, visible, and authentic content with storytelling for their business to get more leads and attract more clients. I will see you at our next tea party.